let me. Get this party started. And sorry, I had I have 3 screens, but one of my screens died today. So I'm now working on 2 screens. So give me a second. I'm used to working on 3 computer screens. So give me 1 second.
Multitask.
I know. Let's see. This is screen. All right. Leadership. All right. So we've got, we're going to be talking about leadership. So little recap of yesterday. You know, trying to make sure we, solve the problems and how we can, manage success and how we can delegate, delegation. And I think delegating is something that can y'all hear me good enough, or is it?
Okay, yes.
Good. Okay. Thank you. With my screen going out, I'm afraid that something else is going to go out. Just making sure you know how to delegate and how to get people, get people to be successful when you delegate. And in these 7 steps are important, are a good way to help make sure there's success when you delegate something to a group or to an individual. And these are great steps. Now, here you go. Management is doing the things right, while leadership is doing right things. Let that kind of sink in a little bit. Management is doing the right, doing the things right, while leadership is doing the right thing. So, it's a great saying. I really like that. Well, first of all, you can look at this, right? And you can read it or whatever else, but what do y'all think leadership means?
Being able to work with your staff while still being the one to guide them.
Yeah.
And not just telling them what to do and not doing anything.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, leadership is doing a lot of things, and that is exactly that. Um, you know, uh, Leadership is acts as a tool. Again, I'm not going to read verbatim too much, but I think leadership is one of those things where you're trying uh, you're you're trying to get people to do, to follow you a little bit as well, right? Because you're trying to lead these individuals or this group of people to being successful or to getting this done or this project done or whatever else. And making sure you set them on the best course of action type of deal or best course to reach the goal or the target. Um, I think leadership is part of being a manager. You've got to lead these people and it's one of those things where you can, and we've seen just how being a lead, being a leader, sometimes you can lead people in the wrong direction, or you can lead people in the right direction, right? You need to make sure you are a good leadership when you have and I use the word, I kind of break it apart, just you want to lead people to the right um, task, the right choices, the right target, whatever else, and you need to let you know. I would say that's about all I need to say about that. Effective leaders. Um, let's see. Effective leaders keep on checking their performance against against the goals, right? Effective leader is always looking at, okay, is my goal, am I leading them to the goal, right? Leading them as an effective leader, they're looking at the goals and deciding, are they leading them properly? um, you know Making sure you analyze and decide, and make sure that there is, you're being an effective leader. um, let's see, an effective leader knows that the ultimate task of leadership is to create human engagement or human vision. Basically, we want an effective leader is someone that's going to really engage the individual. And it's one of those things where you've got to have someone that is a good speaker, a good leader, a good, someone that can bring, engage people and make sure that people, are get excited and that want to do it. And, has anybody ever had a really effective leader or a really good leader, as a boss or as a, teacher or what have you? An effective leader is amazing. Some of my last classes, excuse me, some of my last classes, they were talking about one of the individuals, one of their military people, that they were saying, it was like, I guess their superior in the military, and one of my students was saying, hey, he was an effective leader, and he was someone that I looked up to, and I wanted to kind of be like that person. So also effective leaders are people that people strive to try to be like, because I think it is very important to have a good leader. You need a good leader and an effective leader, because you need some people to follow that leader, right? You need that lead, and then you need followers, and those followers are your staff, or your people that you're working with. And as long as, and there have been what I call bosses. I'm going to say leaders because we're talking about leaders, but I've had bosses or slash leaders that I really don't respect. They're not effective. They're not, they're not, you know, creating engagement. They're not looking at the vision that I'm seeing, or they're not expressing their vision of what, as a leader, what their vision is, and it creates a lot of friction and a lot of issues when you have a leader that is not very effective, that can't engage your employees, and that's not engaging, that can't see or can't express their vision of what what things should be and all of that. And I will always say, guys, you can always dress up somebody, put a title on them, but you know what? Uh, they can, by doing all of that, that's not that magic apron kind of thing where you put on you give them a management title and they automatically become amazing and effective leaders. That is not the case at all. Um, I, 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 I think spending a little more money on training someone as a good leader and a good manager and a good effective how to be effective leader, how to be effective when you're creating like a leadership module or whatever else. You really need um, to be careful, because if we don't have a good leader or an effective leader, then it turns into chaos, right? It's chaotic. I mean, um, I mean, I don't want to. I mean, but you can kind of see that in right now. Just look at what's happening in the world, type of deal. So you just gotta be very aware of being an effective leader is very, very important, because you need because people will follow you, right? People will follow, and if you're not being effective, you're just going to be more destructive than effective in many terms, because who's ever had a leadership that didn't engage, or leader or boss or whatever else that didn't engage you, didn't, and then there's going to be a lot more turmoil, a lot more issues, a lot more problems, and that creates a again a toxic and work environment. And no one wants a toxic and work environment. Um, Management is doing the right things, guys. All we try to do in managing is doing the right things. So leadership is being an effective leader is engaging and looking at the human vision, and all of that. But management is kind of management is doing the right thing, but also the problem is as a manager, I'm trying to manage you, right? And I'm trying to also discipline and keep you on the straight and narrow. Leadership, leadership, I'm going, yeah, you creating, I'm engaging you, I'm exciting you, I'm trying to give you that excitement, right? I'm saying, okay, here's what's going on. I see your vision, or here's my vision, all of that. And then management is more doing the right thing, okay, uh, getting the process done. And more of I'm managing you on making sure that you're doing the right thing, or keeping on task, or developing, or let's see, just making sure, you know, I'm having to look at your task and what you're doing, and compared to the vision. Leadership is more of a vision, and showing that, I want to be a good leader by doing the right things, and doing, kind of leading by example, in a way, a leadership by example. And management is more, yes, I'm more, I guess managing the individuals instead of leading the whole group, right? So here is more, I'm working more as an individual, but also managing the whole staff. But sometimes you can't, you've got to manage individuals instead of the staff. Because if you try to do kind of a blanket management, kind of go and manage as in masses, everybody is different, right? So no matter what, it's one of those things where you can't blanket manage, or you can't just kind of say I'm going to just manage only this one way, and because doing things right, and what is good for me is not good for Victoria, or Mr. Banks, or any of that sort of stuff, right? So everybody has a little different needs, and so I need to manage individuals, and leadership is more managing the group, and management is more managing individuals. Does that kind of make sense? Does everybody kind of follow that? All right.
Yep.
All right. So
Yes, chef.
management also is teaching people, and giving people, and explaining, and it's a little, it could be a little, you know, off-putting, a little bit, off-putting, because of I'm having to tell you sometimes weaknesses, and I'm going to have to explain to you that you're maybe slow, or you're messy, or you're whatever, disorganized, and sometimes I'm trying to uh, you know manage those things. So but as a group, I'm like, go team, go, here's our vision, yay. I'm trying to lead the group, but manage the individuals. And I think a good manager, uh, you know, you have to kind of uh, play the leadership role and the management role kind of at the same time sometimes, because you're yay, 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 keep on going, and that cheerleader, the leadership is more like a cheerleader, and the manager is more like the mom or the dad, kind of keeping you in the straight and narrow, and managing your individual stuff. So let's see what these videos are. I cannot recall what it was. Oh, I need to take off my.
Hey, I'd like to welcome everyone. My name is Scott Williams, and I want to take a few moments to talk to you today about how it is that I manage my staff. And let me tell you, the simple answer to how I manage my staff is this: I don't. I don't manage my staff, I lead my staff. There's been this ongoing debate, ongoing argument of managers versus leaders, and what particular category that people may fall into. And so I'm telling you, after reading countless books and being in a number of different leadership roles in both nonprofit organizations, corporations, and I worked in politics and in ministry, I'm telling you, I've definitely witnessed the difference between the two. And I had the opportunity as a young leader to work for, a gentleman who was a great leader. He was the consummate leader. And his name was Marvin Weidner. He taught me some of the best leadership principles. And I really summed it up to this acronym that I call BECK. And he, again, was the consummate leader. And so as I'm sitting here thinking about Marvin, what he did, the B for BECK, it's BECC, but the B was believe. He always believed in me. He believed in me. He believed in others. And I'm telling you, the E was he encouraged me. He encouraged me to be more, to do more. He was always an encourager. The C is he challenged me. He challenged me to dream big, to think bigger, to do more. He challenged me spiritually, he challenged me professionally. And the last C, probably the most important, is he corrected me. If I got a little bit off balance, he always would correct me and bring me back in line. And I'm gonna tell you, as we look at leaders and managers, both have their role. But in their simplest form, here's the deal: leaders develop followers, and managers manage people and things. And so leaders don't have subordinates because they're in the business, again, of developing followers, in the business of developing other leaders. Where managers, on the other hand, they have to have subordinates. It's all about positional equity and telling subordinate Joe or subordinate Sally to go make this widget and make it in this way. A leader, on the other hand, they're not worried about some positional equity or some formal authority because they know that they're in the business of creating a tribe and developing more leaders. And what we have to understand is that the business of following, it's voluntary. It's a voluntary action. And a lot of times managers don't even realize this. And so the challenge for most managers, they don't realize that they're managing. They're confusing managing with leadership. And so I'm going to help us to look at these 10 simple category principles and category comparisons that will compare the difference between a manager and a leader. And so the first thing, when it comes to essence, the essence of all of this, managers, they're all about stability. Where a leader, on the other hand, they're all about change. You know, when it comes to rules, managers make the rules, leaders, they break the rules, you know, for the sake of their organization, for the sake of what they're leading. When it comes to approach, you know, it's all about, for managers, all about planning the details. Where a leader, it's about setting the direction. This is where we're going. And when it comes to culture, managers, they execute. And where leaders, they shape the culture. When it comes to conflict, managers oftentimes avoid conflict. Where leaders, they use conflict as an asset because they understand that there's no movement without friction. When it comes to direction, managers like to go down the existing road. I'm going to go this way. This is comfortable. Where leaders, they like to go down new roads. When it comes to credit, managers tend to take credit, where leaders, they give credit to all those around, those who are making it happen. When it comes to decisions, managers makes the decisions, where leaders would generally facilitate the decision. They will encourage and create buy-in in a healthy way. When it comes to vision, managers tell and leaders, they sell. They sell the vision and direction. And this one is really important, the last one, number 10. When it comes to style, managers are generally transactional. And what are the transactions to get this from there? Where leaders, it's about being transformational, transforming people, transforming an organization, transforming a culture. Let me tell you, a great self-assessment for you to determine whether or not you're leading or you're managing is to ask this question. And the question is this: if my position, title, role, or formal authority were removed, would the people that I'm leading still gladly follow me? If you can't answer that question honestly, ask those that are the closest to you to give
Now that is a great question to ask when you are your boss or when you are in that position.
you a candid answer. Because the reality is that people don't want to be managed, they want to be led. They want to follow a leader. I mean, just think about it. You're sitting there right now. You're listening to people. You don't get excited about following world managers. You don't get excited about following business manager, education manager, religious managers. But you do get excited about following world leaders and business leaders and education leaders and religious leaders. Managers change things. Leaders change the world. I'm telling you this, I remember this quote from an Apple commercial. It was a campaign they did in the 1990s, a Think Different campaign. It featured MLK and Picasso and Gandhi and Einstein and others. And the commercial ended with this line. It said, "The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do." Be a world changer. Be a leader.
I think that was a great little video. I think it's very important for you to see I mean, in you look at like, you know, some of these, you know, leaders, you know, and he brought up Apple, you know, but look at all the other, um, you know, leaders out there. What you're kind of what you think is a good leader, and look at their qualities and look at their strengths and their weaknesses. What you know, or when I'm in a job, no matter what, I have like, you know, folders of just notes and all of that, and And every time, I something happens, or one of my bosses or something does something right, man, or that I think is amazing, I write that down because you never know. I want to use that leadership quality. I want to learn because, it's a give and take, right? I give Escoffier my personal time, right? And they give me money, right? And so I look at it this way. If they're giving me, I'm giving my personal time, I want to suck as much knowledge and as much information, as much, I want to, they're using me for my knowledge, right? Right? They're using me. So I'm going to use them. I'm going to use them because they're using me. By God, I'm going to use them by taking all their, you know, you know, getting all the information from my boss, learning from them, trying to, get better myself. So always when your manager, when your leader, or I mean, it's not really combined, they're usually combined, manager and leadership, hopefully, but no matter what, when they do something that I really like, write it down, and make sure when you get in that position and when you get to be that person in charge or be that leader, man, pull out that book, pull out those notes, try to lead the way you like, the way you see, the way that it motivate, and you see how, in over the years of you just kind of working, you can see what works and what doesn't work. And I think that's important as well. My computer just said my internet was unstable. Is there something, am I freezing up or slowing down or anything?
No.
Okay. Just let me know. It just a message popped up. My internet's unstable. So just let me know if there's a problem. Um, and to let you know, also tomorrow, my wife works for Del Valley School District, and they are shutting down all their schools. So, and they're doing online. So the internet might not be as good tomorrow and the next day, because I'm going to have my wife working here as well at home. So just to kind of let y'all know that. Anyway, but I think leadership, writing all this stuff down is very important. Let me see what this one was. I can't remember what I did. This one. Oh,
Good day, everyone. My name is Josh.
yeah. Okay, and we will take a break after this one. It's only 4 minutes long.
In this video, I want to discuss about the difference between a leader and a manager. So let's get started. In the world of business society, people intend to say that being a leader and a manager are the same. But in fact, there's a huge difference between them. The truth of the matter is this. A leader may not be a manager, but every manager should be a leader. Meaning, leadership and management are not the same thing, but a manager who lacks leadership traits will drive the business into the
For
ground.
sure.
Now let us talk about being a leader. Being a leader does the right thing. And being a leader is the one who asking the question, what should we be doing? Being a leader is more concerned on the mission, vision, goals, and objectives to follow, and concerned with ends on what gets done. When it comes to working with their teams, a leader is the one who asks the question, calls the attention to mistake indirectly, and rewards even the smallest improvement to motivate their teams. On the other hand, being a manager is the one doing things right and asking the question, How can we do what we are already doing better? Being a manager is more productive and efficient, and it is more concerned with means on how things gets done. When it comes to working with your team, being a manager is the one who gives the answers. He or she criticizes mistakes for them to learn from it, focuses on the bad situation for them to improve, and he or she wants it to be credited more. Why do we have to understand leadership and management? The reason is understanding who your leaders are and who your managers are will help you create an organizational structure that not only addresses core business functions and needs, but also moral and culture, which are equally if not more important. It will also help you identify where there might be gaps or people in the wrong position or expertise. A quick review between the difference of a manager and a leader. A manager gives answers and a leader asks the questions. A manager criticizes mistakes and a leader calls the attention to mistakes indirectly. A manager's
That right there, the a leader calls attention to the mistakes indirectly. I think that is important because we do criticize, but we try to uh, criticize in a way where it's not going to destroy or uh, you know, belittle the individual. We're trying to build them up, but let them know that they did wrong, but also build them up so they're not afraid to keep doing and afraid not to make mistakes. Excuse me.
focus on the bad and a leader's emphasize the good. A manager wants to be credited, a leader credits their team.
And guys, that's and I'm sorry for pausing it, but I think that's very important as well. When you are become the manager, the leader, the boss, the person above everybody else, you should never, ever take credit for anything. And cannot stress that enough. You you're done taking credit. You have gotten to that top position, right? You don't need that pat on the back. You don't need that glory. You don't need that oh, you don't need that. You need to give that to your employees. That's what they need because you don't need it. You don't need someone to say, "Hey, Cliff, you did a good job." Maybe my boss, maybe my hierarchy, the higher people can do that. But you know what? My job is to make sure I boost up my employees. And anytime there is someone that comes into the kitchen and says, "Hey, that was a wonderful meal, chef," the first thing I always say is, just like in that video that we watched, "Hey, I did nothing for you. I didn't cook. It was everybody else. I did nothing. These people are the ones that need that glory." That's what I really want you, if you don't get anything out of this class, try to get that because that is going to make your life, your employees are going to feel like and I do feel like they are the ones that should get the glory, hands down. Because I'm just the one, making sure all the stuff goes right, or you're the one that making sure that all goes right. You've already gotten to that point in your life where you don't need that glory as much as your employees do. So anyway.
This is a quote by Peter Drucker. Management is doing things right, and leadership is doing the right things. This is a quote that shows that there's a huge difference between a management and leadership. Lastly, I want to talk about more about the simplest way to define a leader and a manager. To start things up, I want to talk about the leader. A leader is the one leading and developing or enhancing followers, meaning to be a follower is a voluntary act. In order to be a leader, you need to learn the ways of a follower and to be guided through. Lastly, manager, meaning manager is to manage. A manager is the one who tells people to do this and to do that, and a manager is the one who runs or manage a specific department or a division. Then again, my name is Joshua Shu of Andron Colleges. Thank you, and I hope you learned something from this.
All right. If we want to take let's reconvene at 8 o'clock. That's 15 minutes. Mr. Banks, are you there? Well, if you hear me, or if you can go ahead. Everybody can take 15. And Mr. Banks, if you need to leave, go ahead and leave, and I will see you tomorrow. Mr. Banks, and good luck on the appointment. Anyway, everybody else, I'll see you at 8 o'clock.
Heard, Chef.
Heard. Guys, I'm going to step away from my computer for a few minutes, so I'll be back in about 10 minutes.
Heard, Chef.
Roger that.
All right, it is 8 o'clock. I'm gonna get this party started. All right, so we have multiple leadership styles, and the first one that I'm going to talk about is autocratic. Autocratic is a leader. Leader makes all the decisions. So autocratic is the leader does all the decision making, does not leave anything up to the subordinates or anybody that is. So the autocratic, the leader just totally makes all the decisions. Democratic, all the participants are involved in the decision making. You know, that's kind of you know, we all, you know, we all vote, and it's like voting or whatever else. We all make the decisions to whoever's in office or whatnot, or we vote for the people that are on your team or whatever else. It is a kind of a, everybody has the opportunity to voice their opinion. Laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is like employees are allowed to make their own decisions without much oversight with the manager. So, you know, and we're going to break these down into a little bit more as we on the slides. And they really, and so that's laissez-faire. Transitional managerial leadership, and then you've got transformational as high level of motivation and inspiration. These leadership styles exist in a spectrum, okay, in some form, some way, but these are all sort of leadership qualities or styles of leadership. Oops. Okay. Autocratic leadership. Leadership are known as authoritarian. You know, I mean, they're basically, you know, I mean, an autocratic is whatever I say is what it goes. I mean, because why? Because I'm the boss. Exactly what that says. You're going to do it why am I going to do it? You know, well, because I'm the boss. It doesn't matter what you think, what you believe, what you want. It doesn't matter anything. Why you're going to do it the way I want it, and that's that. No questions asked. And if you don't do it, you're going to be fired, whatever else. But that is autocratic leadership. And autocratic leadership, I mean, that there is uh, uh, lack of input. You're not going to get input, and if you do get any input, it's not going to be listened to. It's only what that individual thinks or wants to do that is autocratic. You know, and that's kind of, we don't need to go into that. Democratic is where democratic leadership is where everybody gets their voice to be heard, right? You know, let's see. Could someone read this democratic slide?
Yes.
Thank you.
Democratic leadership. The democratic leadership or participative leadership was another one Lewin's three styles of leadership. This leadership style is characterized by shared decision-making responsibilities, social equality, creativity, high engagement from group members.
Thank you. And there you go. Like you're creating your creativity. I'm not stifling because here there is not going to be. It's my creativity. It's whatever I want. This I give you creativity. Everybody is equal. In you know, I'm not saying that you can't make those decisions. Everybody's equal in this, and everybody has their voice is could be heard, right? So you know, in that is no matter what, it's going to you've got to think about it because you're going to have if you do this, you're going to have you know negative voices and positive voices, and so you have to accept the good with the bad a little bit. Unfortunately, you've got to kind of try to keep it in balance, and that is democratic, and I think that's a great way to lead. But there's multiple ways of leading. I really believe. Um, laissez-faire. Could someone read the laissez-faire one for me?
I'll do it again.
Thank you so much.
The laissez-faire style was another one of the three styles observed and described by Lewin and his colleagues. This style is characterized by little direction from the leader, lots of freedom for group members, team members are responsible for making all decisions, great deal of autonomy.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. A good example of these, and I don't know. I mean, I've never worked at any of these kind of companies before, but but like Apple and like Google and some of these like even like small like um, I would say like computer firms or like you know smaller like startups or you know like a tech startup they kind of manage sometimes with laissez-faire kind of you do it you do your work whenever you need to do you can wear whatever you want to wear you know I mean I knew my neighbor his, one of his jobs you know they had ping pong tables they had actually a couple of kegerators, like beer on tap. They had like a video game area for them to, you know, so where they can take a little bit, and that's where I'm assuming they're thinking, okay, them doing that will help stir up some creativity, and it was and all sorts of stuff. So there, you know, I have seen that where you know there's or you know I haven't ever worked in an environment like that because I've only been in more of a kitchen style or you know something else, but But that's kind of a laissez-faire where, like with, Microsoft and all these companies that, that you have, because those individuals, and I'm not trying to pigeonhole those people, but they're very, they, with that creativity that, that those individuals have, sometimes that laissez-faire management style works really well with very creative individuals, and sometimes, but again, it really, because then it doesn't, because the creativity stops with the boss, right? What, or if I'm kind of saying you need this and this, and there is no creativity. Laissez-faire, there is a lot more freedom, right? A lot more, less action, less people, less me saying, don't do that. That's not the right way. Well, I let you decide what it is, and in that is kind of one of those things where that is also a good leadership type of quality as well, laissez-faire. Now, you've got, can someone read this one for me?
I'll do it.
Thank you so much.
Transactional leadership, also known as managerial leadership, is all about managing others using rewards and punishments. The transactional leadership style is characterized by lots of instruction, clear expectations, clear goals, inflexibility, efficiency, focus on following rules.
Thank you so much. So lots of instruction, clear expectation, clear goals, that is also a good leadership way of managing. I, I you know I, that is just, I mean, I think that right there kind of sums up some of what management is also. And the last one, someone, do you want to read that one too? Transformational.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Transformational leadership. People with this leadership style presenting a clear vision of the outcome display a great deal of passion for the work and help group members feel inspired and committed to the goals. People who have this leadership style are often described as energetic, passionate, enthusiastic, trustworthy, creative, intelligent.
Thank you so much. I mean, just think about transformational leaders. I mean, there are some, just drawing pictures of some, I mean, look, we've got MLK Day coming up next week, I think, and I'm going to have to look. Speaking of that, I think we have that day off, but I don't know. I'm going to have to look. But I, you know, individuals that transform, something that is bigger than, I mean, these are, I mean, those are very passionate, very good leaders. They had, uh, you know, that is a really good leadership quality as well. Now, if you've heard what I've said, I think I've said all of them are good leadership qualities at some point or another. I think a good leader is all of them, is every single one of these. Hold on one second. A good leader is all of these. A good manager and leader is all of these, because you cannot just be, I think, doing 100% laissez-faire leadership quality, maybe not the best thing. Also, being 100% autocratic, that's a dictator, right? I'm dictating this, but I can't be a total dictator, and I can't always get everybody to agree on certain things or vote on certain things. So, all of these, I have to be all of them. I think a good leader and good a person that knows how to do it has all of these qualities, and leads with all of these, because there are some days, I mean, I have to uh, tell you exactly what you need to do. I mean, I need you to do this, this, and this. Okay, that's autocratic, man. I'm being a dictator, right? I'm telling you, bam, bam, bam. This is it. No questions asked. You can't ask, or no questions asked, meaning you can ask a question, but you still have to do this, this, and this. That's my requirements. So I am dictating to you this, this, and this, right? So, and then the Democratic, well, I will say, hey, all the participants have, they are involved. Maybe I can say, hey, please write down, let's all vote on which special is going to be put on the menu. And that's a democratic. Everybody has a vote, right? Or everybody has a decision. Laissez-faire, and if you've ever worked in a kitchen, I I do leadership of laissez-faire during like the times when I'm not when we're not in service, when I'm not calling out orders, or when I'm not when I let you do your thing during your prep time. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna get in your business. I'm gonna let you prep your own station. I'm gonna get you make those decisions because it's your station. But when I'm so during prep time and during your time, not service time, quote unquote, not service time, I kind of let you do your own thing. I kind of, let you prepare your own stuff. I'm kind of, as a leader or as the manager, I'm not all up in your business. I'm just kind of letting you make those decisions. But during maybe, when I'm tasting the food, or when I'm tasting the sauces, or going in doing a line taste or something like that, I'm more autocratic of, okay, this is how it should be. This is why doesn't it taste this way? I want it this way, right? So there are sometimes you have to be that authoritarian or that autocratic style leader. So what I'm trying to say is to be a good leader and to have good followers, I really think you need to be all of these, all of them, because I mean, a good example of, do you want to be led all the time by an autocratic or slash basically um, you know like in an autocratic leader? I mean, you don't want that all the time, because you don't want to be told all the time what to do, right? That could cause problems. And also if I let it go, and I lead by just laissez-faire completely, it's gonna it could start getting chaotic, right? People are gonna do whatever they want when they want to do it, da 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 da, and sometimes it just never really happens. Okay, yeah, no problem, Mr. Banks. I know you got to go. Have a good day. Um, um, but sorry, I got a message. So you've got to look at it in those ways, guys. So I think when you are trying to be a good leader, right, you've got to look at all of those leadership qualities.
Good evening. I'm very honored to be with
wait.
you in Kuwait. And
All right. Actually, I'm gonna not show this one. This one was real long. Okay, so what? Sorry, guys. That was an hour long, and I meant to. I'll try to set it up where I kind of want it, but I don't think an hour long video is going to be good for all of us, because I'll probably fall asleep and you'll probably get tired and not have motivation, because sitting there it's lack of motivation. But all right, so trying to get people some motivation, and that's trying to motivate people in your workplace. Try how to motivate people, and honestly, motivation sometimes is internal. It's in you. It's in you, and not just um, you know eh, because there are people that get motivated by money, right? I mean, but no matter what, guys, I only have like 3 people or so showing their face, but you can, I'm going to just assume, motivation. Uh, no one feels like they get paid enough. I know I would love to get paid more. I think I deserve more, whatever else. We all deserve more money, right? We all feel like we deserve more money. So desire of money sometimes is a good motivator, right? If you do this, and this, you'll get more money, or you have a potential of getting more money. I think money is a good motivator. Success is a good motivator. You can get on the TV, or you can be a quote unquote celebrity chef, or whatever else, or whatever you individually think success is. And for me, and let me explain, like, for a good example of different thoughts of success. Like, for me, I think having my family and being, having my, granted, I don't get paid as much as I want to, but I think, having my family and where I'm at with my family and all of that, I think that's successful to me. But in my brother's eyes, at one point, money and fame and all of that was his success. So it's one of those things of everybody thinks of what success or what motivates them is so different. So success, job, status, where you are, all of that sort of stuff. What motivates you? I know people that get motivated by a swift kick in the butt, or a lot of people need that pat on the back of, hey, you did a great job, I'm really proud of you. And that motivates them to do more stuff. Or recognition. That's why I would always do, when I was managing, I would do I would recognize, someone that, did something special, or did something out of the ordinary. So where it helps them go, oh, they're recognizing me for something I did. That's awesome. So I'm going to that's going to motivate them even more to do more stuff. Like, being um, nominated to be the employee of the month. That is, that are being, that motivation, you get a parking spot, you get, maybe a $500 gift card, or $100 gift card, or $50 gift card, or free dinner, or something, whatever motivates. But you do have individuals that, I swear to goodness, I have tried to motivate them in many, many ways. And sometimes they're just, I don't know how to motivate them. But this is an individual basis. It is very hard to motivate groups of people. And nor do I want to motivate groups of people. I need to motivate individuals because, and because of I, because all of you, I bet every single one of you, if I asked you what motivates you, it's going to be different. And so I cannot cookie cutter an operation of motivation other than if I motivate by fear. I mean, has anybody ever been motivated by fear? If that sometimes if you don't do this, I'm going to fire you. That's kind of a everybody. I can do a motivation by fear, but that's not a good motivation. That is, I would consider that a negative motivation. But there is still sometimes that fear is needing. Sometimes has to happen, but motivation, it really kind of depends on the individual. Now, here you go, that carrot on the stick, right? That thing that motivates you. And a lot of times I do use items or things, tangible items to motivate people because of that. That's sometimes that's all I can do, right? I can say, hey, if you get this done, you get an extra day off, or I'll hey, I'll send you home, if you want to, you can leave early, but you still get full pay, or so, or I'll give you a gift card if you get this done, or whatever else, or you'll just in general of motivation of if you get all of these done, you have the potential to get a raise or to get a promotion or whatever else. Those are all good motivators. But let's see. Hold on one second. Hold on, someone moved around my slides. Hold on. There we go. Oh, I kicked it off. All right, we're gonna watch this high performance culture video. Hold on a second.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
And guys, if you can see, I'm a big TED talker, so sorry if you're not, but I love TED Talks. They are good ways of getting a lot of good information.
When I first heard I was going to be speaking at TED, it was about 6 weeks ago, I immediately started typing my script. And it's been an obsession ever since. I don't know about the other speakers, but... And I was saying to my wife yesterday that it's not ready. It just doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. She said, oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. This was yesterday, right? There's people in this room thinking, that's not what we rehearsed on Wednesday. And I said, you don't get it. This is TED. If this goes viral, it's career defining. I'll be the next Simon Sinek, And then I realized that I'd completely missed the point. That I'd forgotten my purpose in this. And so I'm going to flip the script. I woke up, I was on my bike this morning, I'm going to talk about something different. And I think we are losing our purpose in society. You know, purpose is about meaning in our life. It's about staying engaged and, you know, when things are tough. And it's about connection. And I'd lost that connection with you. It had become about me and not you. Yeah? So I'm going to talk about that for a bit. I think whether you are an athlete or a teacher or a parent or running a business, we cannot operate at our full potential without purpose. Now, I was sharing this about 6 years ago in Canary Wharf with a group of traders. Now, I just want you to picture the room. It's 2009, and they're just starting their career in trading in the city. Okay, so the crisis just hit, and I'm in there and I'm talking about purpose, right? And to be fair to them, they were getting into it, they started to get the idea, but there was this chap in the corner of my eye throughout the whole session, and he was just heckling me throughout the day. Just wasn't getting it. In his words, this is fluffy bollocks. And this continued. Anyway, in the afternoon, he said to me, he said, Andrew, you've been talking about purpose all day. You've been talking about asking us why we do what we do, what gets us out of bed every day. He said, what do you do? What gets you out of bed? You know, why do you do what you do? What's your purpose? Which is a fair question to ask the person who's talking about purpose, right? And I knew the answer because I'd reflected on it in the past. And I said to him, do you remember the Rocky films? Do you remember the Rocky films? Yeah. Rocky 5, Tommy Gunn. I said, that's the worst. I said, I remember that film. I remember watching it. It was a Sunday night. It was 1993, March 21st. I remember watching that film. And Sundays in my house are pretty standard. I would have been out all day playing street hockey. I'd have been at Safeway's car park in Tunbridge Wells. I still call it Safeway's. I'd been playing all day. I'd have come home, had a roast dinner with my family, and we'd have watched sport. It'd have been cricket, football, golf, or snooker. One of those four, depending on the time of year. And this night I was watching. My dad loved sport. He was a baker. My granddad was a baker. And I always expected the business to be mine. But when I was 11, my dad sold the business. He sold it. So that was kind of the end of that. I still feel like a baker. But he started, to be fair to him, made a lot of money. He moved into construction. And we had this wonderful, he made big houses in Tunbridge Wells. We had this wonderful big house. And we had the fancy holidays to Portobello, all that kind of Marbella, all that nice stuff. We had this wonderful E-type Jag, blue E-type Jag that used to sit on the drive. But as quickly as he made all his money, he lost a lot. It was the mid-'80s, and that's what happened in construction. Lost it, and our lives changed like that. And on this Sunday night, he came to the door, and I was watching this film, and he said to me, I'm going to bed. Come and give your dad a hug. And I said, no, you've had a drink. He said, come and give me a hug. I said, no. And he went to bed. I didn't. And he went to bed. That was the last time I saw him. He died of a heart attack, age 48. And I looked at this guy, and I said, do you know that 20% of people die in the early hours of a Monday morning, brought on by the stress and anxiety and fear of facing work the next day? I said, I don't want that to happen to you or anybody. That's why I do what I do. That shut him up. I feel blessed to live in Tunbridge Wells, actually, because I grew up playing street hockey in Tunbridge Wells, and I got my first stick when I was 9, and it changed my life forever. I was 9 years old. I played other sports, but I think, Paul was talking about giving children opportunity. 80% of young people, young 14-year-olds, will become disengaged with sport. 80%, because they're looking for alternatives, and we're not offering it. But I was lucky because I found street hockey, And I went on this extraordinary journey with the Tunbridge Wells Street Cruisers. And we would play all over Europe. We would drive out to Amsterdam, Rotterdam. We'd go out to Dusseldorf and play in these roller hockey tournaments out there, out into the mountains of Switzerland. We even went off to Chicago to play in Chicago. We had an amazing, we didn't have very much money. We had to save our pennies. In fact, when we used to go to Europe, we used to rent a transit van. We used to put our hockey bags in the back and put mattresses on top. So we'd go out, and that would be our accommodation for the weekend. We were the first team, believe it or not. The first Tunbridge Wells Street Cruisers was the first team in '95 to switch from traditional roller skates, quads, to rollerblades, because we thought it would give us a competitive advantage. It was a disaster. But what happened is that people thought it was hilarious because the first tournament we played in, we came last, and this was in Switzerland. And everyone thought we were crazy for doing it. They couldn't understand why we'd made this transition until, of course, we started winning. And in '98, the Tunbridge Wells Street Cruisers beat the Dusseldorf Rams in the final of the championship. Now, if you speak to the team and say, tell me about your experience, it's very rare that they'll talk about the winning. Winning's great. It's a wonderful feeling, winning. But if you ask them, they'll talk about the sacrifice, they'll talk about the road trips. Obviously, I can't tell you the stories because you know the rules. They'll talk about the fact that we owned it, that we shaped it. It was ours. We didn't have a coach or a manager telling us where to be, what to do. It was all self-directed by us. And the following 10, 15 years, I played in 12 World Championships for Team Great Britain at inline hockey. I was to and from America playing. And in 2010, I took on the head coaching job for Team Great Britain. And I'd acquired a team that had lost in the quarterfinals of Pool B in the World Championships. Pool B is essentially like Division 2, and Pool A is the top 8 countries in the world. So Sweden, Czech Republic, Canada, USA, etc. The top ice hockey countries that come across. And so I'd noticed that they'd become a bit disengaged with playing for their country, having lost to Australia in the quarterfinals the year before in Pool B. So I was going to go in there, all guns blazing as head coach, and I was going to create the exact same culture as I'd experienced with the Tunbridge Wells Street Cruisers. The problem is you cannot take one culture and put it on another. It just doesn't work, right? And that was my experience. So I had to rethink what I was doing with the team and think about putting a different set of rules in. And these are the 5 rules I'm going to share with you that I put in place that for me have helped create an environment where everybody can absolutely thrive. And I think we all have a responsibility to create that type of environment. So the first thing we did with the Team GB is that they needed their own story. They needed their own story, not one that I was trying to force on. Our story happened over 10 years. It was organic. You can't just recreate that. But I had 9 months before the World Championships. And their story, what they came up with, was that they wanted to look, act and feel like a Pool A team. To look, act and feel, not to win the gold medal in Pool B, but to look, act and feel. That was their vision for the team. Now I couldn't go in and say, well, if you want that, you need to eat better, you need to train harder, because you still get resistance. So I promised myself that I would not tell them to do anything. And I would just ask them. If that's what you want to achieve, I would just ask them the questions. There were some things I had to put in place around strategy and how we would play the game, but I wanted them to come forward with everything, for them to thrive and really own it, like we had. The other thing is I wanted to create leaders in the team, in Team Great Britain. I didn't want followers are good for the ego. They're not good for business, right? They're not good for sustaining change. They're not good for creating a high performance.
Please, I'm going to rewind it for just a second. I want you to hear what he said about followers.
They're not good for business, right? They're not good for sustaining change. They're not good for creating a high performance culture. So I wanted to create leaders, and that's my captains. I always say to you, you need your captains, you need your assistant captains out there. You need people who can influence change. And we needed change. The other thing is I promised that we would embrace failure. Absolutely embrace it, because what I could see was a group of players who were paralyzed by the fear of failure. and it was preventing them from playing at their full potential. So we said we'll embrace it, embrace the unknown. When the street cruiser switched to rollerblades, it was a failure, but we came back stronger and we ended up winning. And you know, when you take a risk, it's going to go one of two ways, isn't it? You can have, it's going to be a really good experience and you learn from it, or it might be a not so great experience and you learn from it, right? So either way, it's a bonus. The other thing is, if you can do all of that, then we could hold each other accountable. We could look each other in the eye and feel absolutely trusted that we would do what we said we would do. Now, the problems that I'm seeing, which is driving disengagement, is that I see it in education, I see it in businesses, is that we are focused on that, holding people accountable. Businesses are getting better, and the reason why they're getting better is because they realize that if you engage people, if you help them find their purpose, it means they're more productive, they will be more engaged, and that means more profit. Organizations like that. In sports, we're seeing athletes as a commodity, which is driving personal greed and corporate greed and corruption, as we've seen recently with FIFA, because we're just focused on performance. In schools, we're seeing academic robots on a conveyor belt to something they don't know where they're going, because that's what they're being told what to do, because they're being held accountable. What's this one? That's a D grade. Send it back. Yeah, it's not, the system is not working. And we need to rethink how we can create an environment where everybody can thrive, feel inspired, and operate at their full potential. So I've shared my story with you. I'd like you to think about what your story is and what you can do to help others thrive in this world. Thank you.
Let me see this one, and I can't remember. Let me see what this one is.
Get a real-time bird's eye view of your projects. Create project.
Yeah, and this will be the last video. And we'll talk for another 15 minutes and you'll have, and then we'll be done.
Have you ever wondered why it is that certain things are very important to us and we become passionate about them? For me, it's all about values. And I know that we have individual values, we have family values, but for me, it's about organizational values. And it probably started when I was very young and had my first job. And actually, the job was in banking, and my first responsibility was to hire a very experienced teller, which I did. It didn't take that long. In fact, within a couple weeks, she was in the organization.
Actually, I don't think I like that video, so we're not going to watch it. All right, effective motivation in the workplace. You know, this is one that that I think it's very, you know, it's reward system. You know, hey, you know, that's a good effective way. You know, or if you know, another example, let's say, you know, if you're having a lot of problems with people being late or whatever else, I you know, a lot of times I'll say, hey, you know, anybody that comes in and clocks in on time gets their name put in a drawing, and you will, and every day at the end of you know, work, we'll draw, and this person gets a $5 gift card, or they get, you know, this or that. Anything that helps motivate people to do their job, that's the problem. I mean, I am trying to motivate people to do their job that I'm paying them to do. Think about that. I'm trying to keep people motivated to do the job that I am paying for them to do, and I'm having to give them more things to motivate them, because some individuals don't think just being at work is motivation enough, right? You need more motivation, and that is a good way to help bring motivation to people, because again, money is a huge motivator, and time, like personal time, like an extra day off, or you get to leave early, and you get still full pay, or you know you get an extra sick day, or whatever else. Those things are good motivators. Complimenting the employee, like, hey, getting up there and bringing someone and complimenting them, and say, hey, you did a great job. I'm so proud of you. And that right there, I love I love making sure that people feel good about themselves. And I think complimenting someone on whatever it is, I think that's amazing, because that's something in you, in that person, and they feel good about themselves. They feel, like that someone recognized their hard work, or their, because we almost go probably, and I imagine all of you go probably almost all day without probably one compliment, or maybe a few compliments or whatever else. And when you do get that compliment, ooh, it feels so good. It kind of, it was like, man, someone truly sees what I do, or someone truly sees how hard I work to get to that point, right? So compliments, I think, go a long way as well. And I think that also shows that I believe in them when I compliment them on, because that shows that employee that I saw what they did, and recognize that. And that's sometimes, because I think all of us think our bosses don't see what the hell we do every day, right? I feel like our bosses, because I mean, but I know, like, for example, Chef Robin, my boss, she if I the way I know I'm doing my job correctly is she doesn't compliment, she just leaves me alone. That's how she manages. I know I'm not in trouble, or I know I'm doing a good job when she's not in my business. She's not, logging in on my portal, or logging into the class, or emailing me every single day, or whatever else. I know that but if if I didn't understand how she managed, I would take that in a bad motivation of, oh God, she's not, wanting to, she's, all I hear are crickets from her, and I don't get that that compliment. But that's kind of one the things how she does it, and in understanding your manager and understanding your leadership is kind of one of those things but she uses us, like me, because I'm kind of middle management in a way. She's the executive chef. I'm what I call a lead chef, and like three of us, three lead chefs, and she uses us, the lead chefs, as the touchy-feely, kind of the compliment kind of people, right? So I compliment the instructors. I do that because that's something that's just not part of her management style or leadership style. So she understands that. So she uses us as middle management to give that touchy-feely, or that warm fuzzy feeling that compliments get from me and from two other instructors that are lead instructors. So but compliments go a long way. It can help uh, it can help with the structure, and build a good, effective team. And it's one of those things where a good, effective team is really is good. Oops. Um, Again, someone moved around my slides a little bit. I don't know why. And I'm going to just kind of look, but effective, being effective motivator, guys. You know, in the one. Hold on, let me stop sharing. All right, so the one thing I really need you to understand is that, you know, you can you need to motivate your staff. You need to, and you need to understand that your staff are just humans. You know, we all need something. And if you can figure out what your employees need and what motivates them, you cannot just motivate. It's very hard to motivate you know, a huge group of people, but it's easy to individually motivate individuals because of when you're motivating individuals, you know, I can tailor the motivation to your needs. Does that make sense? So where I honestly, I know, I mean, it's been a while since honestly, it's been since March since I've seen most of the chefs that I manage, I'm kind of in charge of. But I know what motivates each individual instructor. So where I know how to approach them and I know how to approach them so where I can get a good result, right? I can get the work that I need out of them, right? So I know one of them, just needs that, hey man, I really appreciate all the hard work you have been doing. That kind of, and then one of my other ones is like, hey man, I think you could have done better. I really think you were slacking on that. And I choose the way I approach the individual because look at us all. I mean, we're all different shades of colors, right? We're all different, come from different backgrounds. We all come from something that I don't know. So I have to figure out what it is that motivates you. And I think an effective leader and an effective motivator is someone that understands the employee and understands them and can tailor the management and the leadership to each individual because that is that because we have you can look at you can't cookie cutter an operation, especially like schools or whatever else. It's very difficult to do that because they typically fail. But look at our public school system right now. It's in dire need of reworking because what motivates the teachers, what motivates the students are not. It's not. We're motivating them. Or we're teaching to a test. We're teaching this way. We're not motivating the individuals as much as we are trying to motivate masses, and it's hard to motivate masses. So keep that in mind when you are managing. Now, I need to talk about what we're going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow could be a little bit sensitive. We are going to be talking about some depression. We're going to be talking about anxiety. We're going to be talking about maybe even some thoughts of suicide. We're going to be talking all about just, some could be personal, could bring emotion to you, could make you feel emotion. And I'm not trying to, I think it is part of my duty to recognize and to talk about. I mean, we all know, and the name, I can't believe it, is drawing a blank. No reservations. Who's the guy that did the show No Reservations?
Chef Anthony Bourdain.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, my brain had a brain fart, but I think it's the Anthony Bourdain and his struggles, and Robin Williams and his struggles, and all of that, because these are things that you as a manager need to try to recognize, and you as an individual need to recognize. You know, I you know, if you know, I mean, there's a video that kind of makes me a little teary-eyed, that I'm going to show, that has a bunch of chefs talking about the stresses and um, the stuff that happens in kitchens. This, I want you to kind of take tomorrow seriously, because it is it is something that, if you're not struggling with depression, or with feeling of some these thoughts, maybe if you're not, someone else is around you, maybe some, especially now with COVID. I mean, guys, and you'll hear me talk tomorrow, but I've been cooped up in my house for so long because I'm in that high population group. And oh, speaking of that, the 26th is my of this month. I'm getting my first vaccination. So, but anyway, so tomorrow, please just, you don't need to share stories if you don't want to. I'll share some stories. I will, show this video, but it's something that I think is very, very, very important, especially nowadays. I, you know, I really want y'all to take this seriously. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. Be safe, be careful, guys. I know, like my wife's school district is closing down, doing all online for starting tomorrow for next week. I think this week and next week. I think Austin ISD is kind of closing down, or doing virtual. Be careful out there. It sounds like, the COVID is ramping up a little bit more. So wash your hands, keep that distance, and be safe. All right. And wear that mask. And if you have to work, um, if you have to work, please just be careful. It always pains me to see people, having to, work out in a restaurant. It's so scary for y'all. So please be very safe. All right. Y'all have a wonderful day, and please be safe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.
You too, Chef. Stay safe.
Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
Chef.
You as well. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, and hold on. And Mr. Banks just put a message saying if anybody's looking for work, Subway, they're offering $10 an hour. His phone number is right, or I'm sorry, $11 an hour. His phone number is 512-729-4174. And I will take a picture of that information, and I will post that on our little portal.
All right. Thank you, Chef.
You have a good day, sir.
Have a good day, Chef.